Okay, so since we've got so much damn green on here, let's see what we can do with that. I think we should change it up a little bit. Let's go back to the purple that we had as kind of a random cube earlier. Here it is. Ugh. Let's see. So that cube was looking like one of these colors, most likely. I think this was the top one. Bright orchid. Alright, let's see what happens. So you look for tops of the letters. Some are going to be used up already. Because you did all the earlier shading. But we're almost done. We just want to add some feel and life to this guy. Okay. So I'm going in along the top left, and I'm thinking it should be this color. It's not perfect, but it's interesting. So here's an idea. All of a sudden, you get a chance to put some pink in there on a fade. So let's do that. So let's say you had one other pink, and then you just fade it as best as you can with the marker. Boom, you got a little extra fun in there. Extra fun, oh my god. Okay. So the spaces left for this color are not enormous, but we will fill it in as best we can. Now here's an example of somewhere you come up against two places that aren't going to fade that great. See what it's doing? It's making like a purple in between. It used to be I would go through and fade that and get that all perfect and everything. And indeed I will put take a super light color and just kind of drop it over it. It's kind of like a plant. It's brown to green. Interesting. Okay, so we're still interjecting a little bit of this purple, and I'm going to put those different shades that we had on our earlier cube for the purple, our other random choice. So now already you can see how the purple and the green kind of get along, groove together, and they're really not that hard to make look good. It's like playing guitar or something. It's not easy to do, but it's also not hard to make a beautiful noise. But to refine it is, something else, right? Okay, so on our little map we had purple, and it was on the bottom left. Not many of those left either, but we're going to use it. So it was the darker purple by the name of Purple Iris. So bottom left, right? So when you get a decent fade, like this little one there, cutting against it, like when you're doing a wall, you'll cut with the cap so it's really sharp. Well, you do that with your markers or paint or whatever, same idea. So what I do is I go through and I try to hunt down all the bottom left ones that I thought would be good for a color pattern. Now the only reason I'm switching over to purple is because, and pink and whatever, is because I just started to feel like there was too many of the same thing going on. It was really boring. It was getting to be pretty boring. And so this kind of throws off your original plan, and it forces you to deal with new colors. But I don't always do that until I'm really towards the end of I think this would have been on the right. This is one of those violets. This was the bottom right from the thing we did here. It is lilac. So bear with me. Now here's an interesting thing. We have a mistake here. Bottom right. So I'm just going to go through all the bottom rights I can find. Not all of them. They're not all going to work. I'm going to recolor some. I'm going to downplay others so they're not that noticeable. Almost done here. This lilac has a really nice subtle shade to it. That's kind of cool. But you can see how having a little simple plan kind of helps your map or your deciding on what the next step is. You know, it's actually quite helpful because it will keep you moving in the right direction. It's like, oh, okay, well, it's basic shading. Boom. I can do that. I know how to do that now. And your letters will be all the better for it because you won't be worrying about the sides or the shape or the 3D that much because you'll just be following a simple plan. So anyway, I was going to say, here's a mistake. A lot of these blend together. Not too pretty. Cut it. And we got to fade that, right? So we'll go back to the bright orchid and see how bright it is indeed. Since it is marker, you can just like saturate it with ink. And that was actually our problem before, which I conveniently forgot. But okay. So it's interesting how some of these colors look fully saturated or barely put on. Notice how much lighter the shade is when you barely put it on. And it just barely sits there. It's almost like a different color, you know, that compared to that. They're very similar. But there I went out of the lines. That's not good. It's because I'm rushing around. It's getting a little ambiguous. I couldn't swear to it like before. But now I'm starting to see it. And you know what will really help is I got a secret weapon for you. I'm actually kind of, I mean, you'll look at it and you say, okay, I'm digging this, I'm liking where this is going, I'm hating this. And sometimes the part you hate, you have to get rid of or start over. It's all part of it. But I'm just using this bright orchid again to kind of accent up wherever I think it would be nice to accent. You know, shadows or little dimensional build-up things. Okay, so we're almost done. Now I'm rushing through it, but you get the idea. So here's secret weapon. You're at this point, you're like, oh, what do I do next? I already used the purple. I used the green. I really could use a bit more. It's like, it's just in flux. I tell you what, dude. Tell you what, straight up. Use gray. That's the secret. That's the secret right there. These open spaces that you don't know what the hell to do with, and you're kind of confused about what you were even thinking, and people are going to say, what were you thinking of that part? And you said, oh, dude, I was lost. Well, no more do you have to say that. Take a really light gray. In this case, I'm taking number 2. Kind of the lighter the better, because you can always work it darker, but not the other way around. So let's just kind of throw in this crazy amount of gray that we have faith faith is going to help us. And the reason it helps you is, man, that's a mess, but we're going to make something out of it. Trust me. Okay, so here's something interesting. I noticed a turquoise-ish area right in here that should have been turquoise but was never caught. So that kind of gives me the opportunity to place little details in that I might have missed, or that I think should be changed just for fun. Okay, so back to gray. So we're using a 2 gray, right? 2 on the cool gray scale. Now let's switch over to 3. Boom. 3 is not much different, but what this will do, you fade it. What I'm doing, I'm fading the gray so we can go back with the light one and fade it a little bit. But see, gray saves the day because gray is more grounded than some of these fancy colors. You know, it's like lived in more modest means than some of these fancy greens and pinks and purples and such. And so gray kind of grounds the whole thing. So you can just go down the line. Like if you have grays that are slightly darker, just go down the line and like messed up. And kind of fill in the places that need it. Now the thing is, you are the executor in this plan. And so you can do whatever you want. It's your work. A lot of people are into the like totally photorealistic 3D or whatever. And I dig that, but I think there's also something to kind of random additions. So I'm grabbing like a sky blue just out of the sky. Now we know that the sky blue, you could probably fade it with this turquoise, but you don't want to get too out of your pants on it. You don't want to get too like crazy about it like I'm doing, because you want it to kind of enhance what you've done already. And if you make too drastic a change like I'm doing now, you're taking a risk on whether or not it's going to work, you know. But it worked. But even still, so you want it to have to be every corner is all, you know, faded with the extra blue or whatever. Okay, almost done. Just a couple steps here. Bear with me. We're just throwing in little detail. Okay, so